Hello, and welcome back to Toes Eye Designs YouTube channel. It's been a while, but I'm back with a full build video, which is my first full build video actually. So I'm Thomas Vogel. Thank you for watching. Let me start to explain my object. This is a jewelry box. It's got 5 trays inside of it. It's done in a style, trying to work in a style called Edo Sashimono. The Japanese, it's a very complex Japanese woodworking, series of strict guidelines. So I mean, I'm obviously not, this isn't Edo Sashimono specifically saying I'm trying to work in that style. These are 6-sided hexagon box. My wife helped me in the design of this, actually, coming up with the initial concept pretty much. And her name for it is a hexi box, which she does a lot of sewing, and she was working on hexes at the time. I get it. I'm not sure I like the name. I'm still working it out. Fairly irrelevant for our video here. So anyways, I'm going to show you what's going on. This is Honduran mahogany with garnet shellac. I've actually 7 coats, and I've rubbed it out a bit, so I haven't recoated it yet. And this is actually Riffs-On Eastern Black Walnut, and it's probably got 10 coats on it. And I probably just need to clean it up a little bit. What this whole thing is it consists of a top, 6-sided top, 6 sides, 1 top, so a contour in that, and then a series of 5 trays. This one I've made awfully close to the tray size, so when you put it down, it slides down like this. This one doesn't. Weather change, humidity changes in the household. This is probably just too tight. This one's going to stay home with the wife. 5 trays. They can stack in any order you want them to. It's a nice little feature. It's all made out of 1/4 inch. This is all 1/4 inch. This piece is 7/16, maybe 3/8, and the bottoms of the trays are 1/8 inch. And there's a base that's probably, I believe it's 9/16 by 15/16. There is quite a bit of joinery that goes on with this. I am going to explain this to you now, but I've got to do a zoom in. So there is joinery in every joint on this box. These are the sides. There's a mortise and a tenon, and just cut that away so I can kind of show it to you guys. The trays have it. There are 6 pieces in the bottom, and each one has a mortise and has a tenon, and they fit together like so. Even the base, this part, it has the floating tenon. It has 2 mortises with a floating tenon between them. Then that gets glued together. It's a fairly complicated box. So what I have here is, this is the sled I used to cross cut the sides for the top and put a 30-degree bevel on them on this side, and the sides for the trays, and the same bevel on this side. This jig is actually reversible. This side works with the 90-degree. Set this so that's 90 degrees to this. That's how things work. Make sure the blade's at 90, and then this one turns around, and that blade should be at 30 degrees. But as you can see, I use ultra high molecular weight plastic here for the runners. I've had problems with wood before where it swells or it shrinks and it gets too loose. There we go. So you want it to be it was a lot tighter before. There we go. That's where it's tight. This is an old saw. These slots are kind of worn out. So, but I get perfect 90-degree cuts with this. I'm going to show you. Okay, so here we go. Hearing protection. eye protection, and our pieces. Here we go. Check. Good. Okay. Check in here. This all lines up still. And last. Okay, having cut the 6 sides for the top, small piece left over, I now have 5 sticks of 1/4 inch mahogany that have been milled to the proper width. I'm going to cut them down to their proper size using the same sled I used and stop I used to cut the sides. And I have calculated that it is 8.6 millimeters less the trays are on the inside, so that spacer goes in there. I could probably cut these 4 at a time, but I'm not going to. Put a little stop in here. Probably cut 2 at a time, and I don't really get to use this because it's only going to catch 1. But you'll see. Okay. Ear protection on, eye protection on. Let's go. Okay, those are all cut. 5 trays, 4 extra. It's all very handy. Throw your scraps away, otherwise they get in the way. Okay, so now I have the blade swung over to 30 degrees from this side. 90, 30 degrees this way. It's actually 60 degrees on this side, which is a complementary angle. Which, at some point later on, for those of you who don't remember geometry, I will explain to you how awesome complementary angles are. But anyways, in context, this is how we're going to get our 30-degree bevel. I'm going to cut these pieces in here. They're going to go in here, lock down, cut, flip it around, cut the other side, check to make sure it's parallel. It's pretty much Bob's your uncle. It's that simple. But before we get there, we got to test this. I don't have a good square. I don't have a good way of checking 30 degrees unless I just cut 6 pieces on both sides to test my angle. That tells me how close I am to 60. I actually know I'm pretty close to 60 because I know where it is on my saw. But I'm making something. I don't want to ruin it. I'm going to put some spacers in here and reuse these already, make them a little shorter, like I did before. Let me get my hearing protection, which is way over there. Okay, real quick. Okay, so now I've got these pieces all recut on the new angle. Here's a good trick. Use something you know is straight. And as you cut your pieces, you know how they came off the saw. You can butt them up, using this straight edge, kind of butt them up against each other. The true test is when you flip it over from the opposite way you cut it. And if it still meets, you know you're cutting 90. Or that those are relative to 90. So here, we're going to line these all up. Find us a bit of tape. Okay, this is what you got to do when you're cutting. Didn't make that long enough. When you're cutting thing other than 90, you end up doing this a lot because it's just about the most relative. It's the most reliable way, not relative, reliable way of telling if your angles are correct. I don't know if you can see here. That is pretty. I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so after doing all the awkward stuff off camera and coming back to this with the tape all the way around the whole thing, it really does settle down quite nicely. All the insides touch, all the outsides touch. That kind of tells you, that pretty much tells you you've got, pretty much tells you Bob's your uncle. Those angles are close enough true that you can go with it. Okay, here I will cut all the bevels on my hexi box top sides. So even though I know it's all set, I still go through and check my pieces on the, and if I have kept them somewhat in order, all the triangles will line up. No, this way. Get the dust out of there. Okay, so I've got it all right, so I'll put that together. It all touches. Seems pretty square. I'm going to go with that. We'll cut some trays next. Okay, so it's time to cut the trays. I have five stacks of 6, and I have 4 extra. Always cut extra pieces. You won't regret it, I promise you. Okay, I need my spacer. Here's my spacer, my 8.6 millimeter spacer. Used it on the other side, use it for here. Make sure everything's out of there. Okay, so I'm going to cut two at a time. Can't really use this again because it only catches one. Here we go. We're going to cut these and then we're going to test the width. Okay, let's check. When you have cheap calipers, you need to zero them all the time. Okay, so 57.8, 57.85, millimeters, 57.85. Okay, that's parallel. Let's check our notes really quick. We want 58.3. These are 0.2 millimeter bigger. We're going to live with it. Okay. We will proceed to cut some more. Okay, so they're all cut. That was 20 minutes. Or, I'm sorry, that wasn't even 10 minutes. Maybe 5 to 7. So again, I like to use the straight edge to check my parts. When you're batch cutting stuff, stuff, stuff gets mixed up, bounces around, a piece of dust in there. They're all tight, they're all pretty good. Let's turn these around. I'm going to take that as a good average. Do these. Okay, it looks like I did a pretty good job of cutting. You've got to really look out for cumulative industrial error when you're cutting stuff like this. That's why I kind of jig everything out so much, because I don't have to reset fences or stops all the time. Get a consistent product, and it just makes it easy. Okay, there are 5 plus 4 extra. Now for the joinery. So, tainted saw blades here. This is a 60 tooth positive angle alternative top bevel hand saw blade. It's actually systematic. They haven't made these in, 10 years. I've had this blade for 20 years. It's a great blade. It's still on its second sharpening. I don't use it much. Kind of keep it for special stuff. A good quality 60 tooth alternative top bevel blade should probably cost you $150. Somewhere in there. Maybe 120 bucks. Good one. One the plate's been flattened and it'll run true. These mass-produced ones, they're good, they're not great. This is a 40 tooth flat top grind. I don't know if you can see that flat top grind. Table saw blade, 10-inch table saw blade by Popular Saw. I love this saw blade. This saw blade lets me do lots of stuff with my joinery. I'm just going to do grooves right now. Right, not too tight. Okay. I will put on a better throat plate. That's not the one I want. stroke plate, and we only need a little teeny bit of this. Okay, so now I'm going to machine the rabbets that allow the trays to stack together, and these rabbets, and run the groove for the bottom. I don't know why I particularly do it in this order. I have my jig set up, and I need a groove to put it in there, so it gets done with the groove first. Now we will groove our tray sides we're going to groove our tray sides, the top and bottom rabbet, so they fit together and they stack. All these little blanks. And on for 30 more. We will now run the groove for the drawer. Only have to do that 36 more times. We'll get back to that. Okay, so to get preparation to cut all the joinery, I'm going to cut the profile of the base, cut it out square here, and then I'll cut the two angles on this. This is 120 degrees, giving me 60 and 60 or 30 and 30, depending on how you're looking at it. The tape is because I use this for a bunch of other things, so I don't want to permanently mangle this, to pry things off. I'll come up with a better solution soon. Here we go. Alright, so we'll now cut both the angles on this. So since these are actually complementary angles, you can actually check this on by putting them together against a straight edge, getting stuff out of the middle. Ah, perfect. Okay, we are ready to do the joinery. Okay, so I'm now going to put the mortise in the base pieces. I've got the router set up to do that. I have these two jigs that each fit one side. Okay, it's a little loud. It's Sunday night. Hope my neighbors don't mind. They're pretty cool. Here we go. So there we go. There's our two mortises with a it's a 1/8 inch upcut spiral bit, which upcut means towards the machine, which in this case would be down. Very clean spiral carbide, pretty nifty. You gotta blow these things out. It makes an incredible amount of dust every time. I'm just gonna go ahead and run the last of them. It's kind of fun. So that was all 12 joints, 12 mortises, cut in a couple minutes.